Welcome back to another live reaction of the Dev Diaries for CS2. Today is number 8, all about climate and seasons. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people in this community who are excited to finally have a deep dive into what seasons are in this game, how they affect the economy, how they affect the day-to-day lives of all those citizens. So we're looking forward to this one. We've been looking forward to this one since they started releasing the announcements. The next one being economy and growth, followed by the citizens. We're very excited. And as always, if you want to catch me live on Saturdays, 3 p.m. BST, to watch our live playthrough, we're very, very excited. Who's ready? Let's go.
Life in a thriving city can be a whirlwind. Sunny moments of joy and laughter can cloud over as stormier times roll in. It's impossible to forecast. Luckily, the weather in your city will be more predictable, as each map has a unique climate with reliable seasonal patterns. Maps in Cities Skylines 2 are inspired by real-world locations, so your city's climate will be unique to that place. The climate dictates how each of the 4 seasons looks and feels. As one season gives way to the next, the length of the day will change. The amount of sunshine and cloud cover will too. Temperatures will vary, and so will precipitation. Why is this so important? Well, weather will impact your city in different ways. Rainy, snowy, and sun-soaked days can pile pressure on your electricity grid. Same for city services, which will need to respond. Like in winter, road maintenance crews power up plows to clear the road network of snow before it causes collisions. If city services don't respond in time or do what needs to be done, accident rates can rise with the knock-on effect of overstretching emergency crews. Seasonal weather also affects how people move around your city and where they spend their time. Parks will draw crowds when the sun is out, while restaurants, movie theaters, and other indoor spots will get busy fast when it rains. Of course, extreme seasonal weather can turn life upside down in a flash. You can help your city prepare for natural disasters with disaster control systems, but there's no stopping them. Your city might experience disasters with a lowercase d. That's when disasters cause traffic accidents that clog road networks. Disasters with a capital D are a whole lot more serious. They impact city services and the local economy in the short and long term. As a city builder, it's up to you to help your city bounce back when nature is a bit extra. But for the most part, seasonal changes will be predictable. Winter will run its course and give way to spring, just as night will follow day. The day and night cycle connects to the calendar. When a day-night cycle ends, one calendar month will have passed. So every 24 hours, a month of the year will have come and gone. The seasons will change after 3 cycles. And after 12 cycles, it's time to start all over again. The citizens of your city will experience life's highs and lows like the shifting seasons. Good times and bad will come and go. By building your city's unique climate, you can create the backdrop for life lived to its fullest.
Okay, so let's have a quick review of what's been said here. So there's a lot of interesting points that were acknowledged throughout. Not too many screenshots that we haven't already been aware of, but there were a few different items that we can definitely go back and have a look at. So I think the first thing to know is that I've already said that the services and the maintenance are going to be key into interlinking climate and seasons. So we obviously already knew that traffic accidents were a thing. It's good to know that not only will rain impact the amount of road maintenance that's needed, but also snow and our first look into actual disasters of the slightly more dangerous variety, whether that's thunderstorms, tornadoes, as we saw. That was our first look at seeing what a tornado looks like in the game. And it's also nice to see the same city throughout the seasons. I am quite surprised to know that only 3 months, which is essentially 3 day-night cycles in the game, count as a season. I thought that in some hemispheres they might be longer, aka, it'd be usually a bit more summertime, autumn time towards the equator. It might be more cold on the maps that are based more like in Norway and such, but that's absolutely fine. maybe there'll be some mod and asset creators that can change that as we go forward. But I do like that we can see the same city during different seasons. Here we can see a very nice summer, maybe springtime shot. I'm going to say more spring side due to the how high the sun is in the sky for this. Coming into this, which I'm not sure if this is actually a season or a weather phenomenon. I'm going to assume it's rain, or it's just rain as in terms of a weather phenomenon, but they kind of alluded to say that this was a completely different season, so maybe it's just more rainy in autumn. We're not entirely sure. Hopefully, as we read more into it, it'll be a bit more clearer. I love this shot of the city. I believe this is the one that this is New Dalton, done by $2.20. There are a few resemblances of this, so it's nice to see such a wide version of this map. Let's jump forward just a touch. Again, we've seen this screenshot before, but I believe only in the summertime. So it's good to see the resemblance between the different seasons here. Such beautiful shots as well. I cannot wait to dive into this game. Now, I did notice on here, these buildings here, I thought that we had seen before in terms of mid-row housing, but I've got a feeling these are actually small offices, because they have already said that offices will have certain companies plastered all over them, and we do have what appears to be 3 separate companies here. So we might have to go back and check this, because this didn't make a lot of sense. But again, seeing those side by side. Now, this was the screenshot that I was quite intrigued by. So we now know that electricity and water and road maintenance is directly affected by weather. So I'm trying to have a look here. Most of this we've already seen before, but these icons here, we have not seen before. Now, I've got a feeling that these might be potential issues on this. It looks like, if I wish I could zoom in on this. I don't know why I was trying to scroll, but it looks like, so we've got some pylons along here, and I imagine this is where the high voltage into low voltage stations are. And it looks like it's the same dotted around, which would make sense. So I'm wondering if these are being affected by the snow that's kind of alluded in the previous screenshot, which is interesting. Obviously, the road maintenance, we know that during non-winter months, these are going to look like this, whereas the winter months they're going to be turned into snow plows. So that's quite cool to see. It also it was quite cool to see. Now, where's the screenshot of this? Okay, I was trying to find it. There was one particular part where someone was actually in summer clothes and they're running in the rain. And I'm wondering if that's because they're trying to get out of the rain, or maybe it was just a life path. We're not sure yet. It was also good to notice that in the summer, parks and outdoor spaces are going to be more populated by our citizens, whilst when it's raining, our commercial will flourish a little bit. That's quite an interesting thing they've put into this game. And I'm quite excited to see how that kind of establishes a city, especially if you've got, say, a warmer climate in the southern hemisphere in comparison to a northern climate where it's constantly sunny and raining. So that's quite interesting to see. Now, here are some buildings that we have yet to see. Now, they did go into the map view, I believe. Here we go. Now, what are these? Let's just make sure that we've got it correct. So this one here is actually part of the disasters. Now, I'm going to assume that these two are small and large, what were they called in the first game? Escape zones? Like shelters? I think they were shelters beforehand. So I imagine that these work the same way as they did in the original game. This, I'm going to assume, is some sort of radar dish, something to alert people to go to these, potentially speakers and such. But unfortunately, I didn't actually click on them. So I'm hoping on the Steam Workshop it goes into it a little bit more. But these are quite nice assets. Obviously, we've seen more car crashes, and of course, here is our first look at the tornado. Let's just play this without the sound a second. Here. Now, one thing I will say, and it's probably the same comment that I'm going to make about the smoke coming from like coal power plants, I don't like these graphics. I'm hoping that they change these before release date, because these when you're looking at such a beautiful city, you see something that's not as good, it really does stand out. And I know that this is a shared comment throughout the community. I'm excited to see tornadoes, obviously. I'm excited to see what other natural disasters there are in the game. But I really hope they fix those smoke graphics. This is interesting as well. The fact that they've added buildings getting damaged by weather. Here you can see it says the structure is being damaged by bad weather. I'm wondering if that's just because of the snow. I'm wondering if buildings have protection that can be upgraded. I'm wondering if maybe there's a policy for that. Yet to find out. But it's interesting to see that buildings can be damaged still. Just by, well, here's the other thing as well. In natural disasters in the first game, it was only natural disasters that could affect buildings. So, with the exception of fires, of course. But if it's just climate that's doing this, and this isn't like a freak thunderstorm, this could be an interesting and more difficult thing for us to grasp. So that's quite good to see as well. Again, I love the fact that these buildings have lights now. I'm absolutely going to be using the day-night cycle. Again, this looks like New Dollarton. So I think this is probably a good place to go over to the Steam workshop. So let's have a look and see what they have said. We might need to quickly refresh this. Let's just go to store. Or you can not do as I tell you. That's wonderful. Thank you. Here we go. Cities Skylines 2. Climate and seasons. Okay, let's see what they've got to say. And as always, I will skim through this where possible. So climates can be ground into 3 basic climate types now. So that's good to know. Based on temperate climate, so have distinct seasonal changes, moderate precipitation, and a wide temperature range. Whilst maps with continental climate types introduce significant annual variations in temperature. So this is what I was kind of hoping that they do. It sounds like they are doing that. So we've got a type of climate that has essentially your standard 3 months being the 3 day-night cycles change into the seasons. And then we also have ones that feature probably a little bit more snowfall while still keeping those seasonal changes. So that's good to know. That's good to know. Weather is closely tied to the climate and represents the climate's seasonal changes. Each map features unique weather, which changes with the simulation. So it sounds like they're putting a lot more effort into their maps as well, which I really like. Which I think most people would assume when it came to this as well. Time and seasons. So they obviously very clearly announced this. Let's just read. 1 cycle through day-night equals 1 month. Each season lasts about 3 months, with 1 year in the game taking 12 in-game days. Again, maybe a little bit quick. I'm hoping that at some point there'll be a change to this, where you can imagine like they did in The Sims, where you can change like the lifespan of the sim. I kind of like the idea of maybe having the option to change how long a season is. Hopefully that's implemented, whether it's from the dev team, whether it's a mod. I'm sure that's going to be one of the first things to change. Let's carry on having a look here. Seasons affect more than just the amount of sunlight in a day, depending on the climate. Temperature changes over the course of the whole year, as does the chance of rain and cloud. And that makes sense as well. Let's keep going down. Natural disasters. Okay, so they're actually going to list which natural disasters are in the game here. And this is why we read these things, because most people don't. Which is why you should absolutely subscribe to the channel. Let's have a look here. They cause damage to buildings and citizens directly hit by the disaster, which burdens healthcare, death care, rescue services, and causes disruptions to the companies or services housed in affected buildings. It's going to directly affect companies. Again, I'm gonna say this, I've been screaming this every single video. Companies are going to be a huge thing in this game, and I guarantee it's directly related to the industry. But we'll get to that. It is coming up in the next couple of featured highlights. Now, types of disasters. Let's have a look here. So, forest fire, of course, very common. I really hated the amount of fire spread in the first game. I'm hoping there's a toggle for that once again for on and off, but we'll see how it goes. So that's good. Hailstorm, first one of this. When the weather is cold but not freezing, there's a possibility of a hailstorm. They cause physical damage to buildings but do not destroy them. So I imagine that's probably what we saw in the trailer with building damage. Citizens don't need to evacuate, but they prefer to stay indoors. That sounds pretty normal. Bringing back the tornado, of course. Best way to prepare for extreme natural disasters is a small and large amount of shelters. So we saw that in the game. And it looks like that middle one that we couldn't figure out, the early disaster warning system can spot approaching natural disasters. So now we don't need to worry about placing different things for different disasters. It seems like it's just one unified building, which is really wonderful. The evacuation buses will plan their path based on population density, prioritizing schools, medical clinics, and hospitals. Okay, so that's really good to see as well. Wow. Okay. I'm surprised that there are only 3 disasters. I am surprised about that, seeing as originally, once the Natural Disasters DLC came out, there was a lot more. There was earthquakes, there was tsunamis, there was thunderstorms. I'm quite surprised that they took that back as much, which makes me wonder if there will be a DLC for further ones. But also, if we remember back to a very early leak and screenshot of an achievement list, there was a rat infestation. So I'm wondering where that comes into play, because they did say that was a disaster. I mean, they might have got rid of it. But also, you've got to think, like, there's no such thing as snowstorms. There's no such thing as avalanches if they're going to potentially do that. There's no earthquakes, tsunamis. These seem like very reasonable things, and maybe they just didn't have the time to put them in. I'm very surprised at that, actually. I'm very surprised at that. But that looks like all there is, actually. It seemed like quite a short and simple thing, but I imagine they might pick something up again in game progression, but that's on August 28th. The next one we're looking forward to, Economy and Production. This is the one. This is the one that I've been excited for such a long time. I cannot wait. So as always, if you like these videos, feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next Monday, August 14th, just after my birthday, for Economy and Production, where all my answers are either going to be false or they're going to be correct. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to find this out. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye now.